Hello, this is Molly from Gold Systems on the AWQMS support team. In this video, I will be walking you through how to do a standard export. So I'll go ahead and click Exports. I'll scroll down. You can see here there is a standard export and there is also a standard abbreviated export. The abbreviated export is what it states, just a little bit less detail. Choose whatever you'd like. Standard will provide more detail. Standard abbreviated will provide a little bit less, but may be what you're looking for. The important stuff like the characteristic name, the value, the monitoring location and date, etc. I'll go ahead and walk through a standard abbreviated. The order of operations for both will be exactly the same, but I'll hover over standard abbreviated and click default search criteria. I could select individual monitoring locations, or if I was interested in them all, I could just select Utah Division of Oil, Gas, and Mining. If I was interested in certain types of monitoring locations, I could define that here, but I'm just going to look at all monitoring locations. I might narrow it down by project in the next step. We'll move on to other search criteria. Here I can choose the type of data I want to look at. It's defaulted to discrete results, which is what I'll keep it to today. Then you can set your date range. You can do an absolute date range, so a specific minimum date and a specific maximum date, or you could do a relative date range and do the past however many years. You can also do it by this year, last year, this quarter, etc. I'll go ahead and do the past 10 years. Get a good amount of data. The next thing you need to fill out is either an activity category or an activity type. Activity type will just list out every single activity type you could possibly have, whereas activity category will kind of group all those activity types under one umbrella. So you might find activity category easier to navigate. It's an either or situation. You can see that I have activity category selected, so activity type is grayed out. But if I were to select activity type, activity category would be grayed out. I'm going to select activity category. And here is where I could say, okay, I just want to look at field measurements, or I want to look at lab results, or I want to look at field measurements and lab results, but none of my QC samples. I'm going to go ahead and check all, do what meets your needs. And then the next thing that is required is the result status. It's defaulted to check all, accepted, final, provisional, unreviewed, validated. You could change this if you'd like, but you can keep the default as well. Projects is not required, nor is media, but if you were interested in the data for a specific mine, it would be useful to, instead of selecting each of the individual monitoring locations for that mine, maybe just select the project, and that will save you some time. If you wanted to select a project, go ahead and refresh the projects list, and that will be based on the past search criteria you filled out, and now you have a list to choose from. So I'll go ahead and choose Skyline again. And again, media is not required, nor is media subdivision, but you could totally fill that out. So for example, if you were interested in skyline data, but sometimes you sample for groundwater, sometimes surface water, and you're just interested in groundwater, you can further define your search criteria to just look at groundwater data. I'm going to move on to parameters. You could select individual parameters in a standard export, or you could just export them all. If you wanted to select individual, click this radio and they'll refresh on the page. And then you could go ahead and click individual ones by checking the box. I'm going to go ahead and just do an abbreviated standard export of all the parameters I have based on the search criteria I've built so far. Go to options. There's no options for an abbreviated standard export, so your last step would be clicking export data. And once that processes, we'll have a file that we'll be able to download. May take a minute depending on the amount of data. Export was successful. Down here under Documents is where we get the file. I'll open it up to show you what it looks like. And again, this is an abbreviated standard export. If you do a standard export, you'll see there are a lot more columns. This file is a little bit more condensed, but gives you all that important stuff like the results and the monitoring locations, etc. Please let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help.